thing that surprised me the most is how hard it is for communication, and that you know how you can communicate, but they filter their communication completely different.
I think the thing that surprised me the most about marriage is when you first get married, you think it's the highlights that will deepen your relationship and deepen the love you feel for each other, the holidays, special gifts, trips, romantic dates. But when it comes down to it, the truth is it's the tough times. It's the adversity, it's the challenges that you get through together that makes you feel that rich, deep love and commitment that lasts a lifetime.
Well, since I was 18, it was a lot harder than I expected. It was not at all what I expected, and just realizing a lot of times that you feel alone in marriage if you don't agree, if you don't have the same goals or ideals. It can be a challenge.
How much time kids take and how much effort. I thought we were busy before we had kids, but now we're running to basketball games and dance and all other sorts of activities.
Finding time to go to movies, go out to dinner, things like that. I didn't realize that that would be hard.
What I really enjoy, and as well as the fact that it surprised me, is staying home Saturday nights in my robe and slippers and spending time in front of the fireplace with my husband is very satisfying.
We were in the military for 22 years and we moved 9 times. And I guess what surprised me in retrospect was the fact that 9 times I got in my car and went to my next duty station, and 9 times my wife and kids followed. That didn't actually always happen in that line of business.
How much you have to take into account the other person and their feelings and their thoughts about decisions that you make or used to making on your own.
I guess when the kids were little and he was very helpful with changing their diapers and, feeding them and, just help around the house, when they were little and stuff like that. When I was growing up, my dad didn't do any of that.
Probably how intentional you have to be each day with each of your decisions.
I think the amount of compromise and the fact that men truly do not think like women.
It's ever evolving when you first get married. It's kind of like your extended dating and things kind of seem the same, but as you start adapting to each other, it adds some extra change to that. And then when you have kids and then you get involved in your kids' lives, your kids become part of you, it really does change. And it's never you can say that this is marriage. This is marriage now at the beginning, this is marriage now in the middle, and then of course eventually we'll get to marriage towards the end. So
what surprised me most was that normally after a long day I didn't want to see anyone, but I didn't mind seeing my husband after the end of a long day. I looked forward to seeing him, and we've been married for 19 years and I still look forward to seeing him every day.
Okay, so it's really easy to actually criticize our husbands, and to do that often, especially we get in a group of women. But I'm just curious, what is it about your husband that you've really learned to appreciate? Like for me, I've really learned to appreciate my husband's sense of humor. He can lighten a difficult moment, and at times I haven't appreciated that, but I've come to appreciate that and value it.
And Jill, I was thinking that whole learned thing, that takes time. You've learned that. It's taken time in your marriage. So I think that's one of the things that I've learned, is that it just takes time over the years to make that switch. It doesn't happen immediately.
Right.
I appreciate the way my husband remains calm when I'm usually either up here or down here. He draws me back from whichever direction I've tended to roam to. He usually reels me back in and is the voice of reason.
And I tag on to that because my husband is just very laid back, relaxed. He's got a high-stress job, but as soon as he comes home, he is calm and very focused on what's going on at home. And he helps to calm me down, when I get kind of stressed out or uptight about something, a decision, something that's going on with the kids, and he's just very relaxed and helps to just kind of steady things, which is awesome.
I think it's so funny how we're wired differently than our husbands, and I appreciate that. So how is it that you are wired different than your husband, or he's wired differently from you?
Well, I don't do numbers. I've made that clear in our marriage, and that's why I married an accountant. He takes care of all those numbers, but we're definitely different that way. The fact that he's very detail-oriented and I'm more get the big picture, I think then together we make a great team that way.
And my husband and I are the opposite of that. he is very much the big picture guy and I'm the detail person. And it works together as long as we appreciate that about each other. Because you can frustrate each other with that. But
I was thinking, kind of like what Jody said with like finances, and at first in our marriage, I would spend a lot, you know, he would spend a little, and he's just a saver, and so now I can see the goodness of that, you know, and him saving money versus spending, especially after 10 years, you can really see what you saved versus, you know, a few months, you're like, we're not saving. So now I can see the benefit of that, and he kind of taught me a lot about how to do better with my money. Although I still will go shopping now. It's balanced now, it's balanced.
you know, I think about my kids too. There are some attributes that my kids have inherited from their dad that I am grateful for. Like, he's a really good listener, and a couple of my kids have really good listening skills. They're tender-hearted, and I love that they have inherited that from their dad. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I know my oldest is really a good listener as well. He's very laid back like my husband is, and so I love to see that, because I'm afraid my daughter takes more of my type A personality, those characteristics. And so I love the fact that, you know, at least my boys seem to take after their dad with being very laid back, relaxed, not quick to, you know, make decisions sometimes too quickly, and not quick to judge. So,
my 3-year-old is just like her dad, literally, and he's the life of the party, and so is she. And I'm not. I may seem that way right here. But like with strangers or anyone, she'll just get in front of people. She's not afraid and has no fear, and that's totally her dad. And so I love it when I see it.
That's neat. I love when you turn those frustrations into fascinations. You begin to see that through a different lens. You know, you see the things that really frustrated you, but you can see it from a different perspective.
It won't surprise you that happily ever after is really just a fairy tale. But it might surprise you that your marriage, with its ups and downs, its adjustments for kids, its conflict at times, is actually normal. It's not perfect, but it's normal. Real marriage isn't what you see in the sitcoms. It's not what you view on the movie screen, and it's certainly not what we read in romance novels. Real marriage is work. It's hard work, but it's work with a reward. So it may take some creative rethinking. It may take a change in perspective. It may take some intentional conversations. It may even require you to ask for help during difficult seasons. But you can turn your frustrations into fascinations. So how do you do that?